All right, now this recording is set up for lesson 2.2, for section 2.2, models and applications. Now, a lot of students are troubled by applications, word problems. Now, it's just a matter of associating to what information you need and what operations you want to really go after. All right, so there's two things: information, like what pertinent information you need, and what operations you're going to use. So when I look at this next, let's take a look at question number 1. Okay. By the way, there is how many questions? There's 15 questions for this. All right. I hope to be able to answer a lot of them for you because it'll help you, but I want you to be able to just see the pattern about how I approach these. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about much of anything else, but how I approach it. So it says 58 people showed up to the party. There are 2 less men than women present. How many women are there? Okay, so first of all, let's go ahead and say that, well, men that is equal to, or M. Let's just say men is equal to men. So, and then women is W. So we now are associating to what the variables that we want to use. Okay, so there's something that we're approaching. Now, it says there's 58 people who showed up for the party. All right. Now, we know that men and women together, men and women, so M plus N, okay, so the M plus the N equals the 58 people. All right. Now, the thing is that it says that there's 2 less men than women present. So when we talk about men, M, it is the women minus 2, because it's 2 less men than women. All right. So now there are 2 less men than women. So we got to make sure we make sense of this. Men is the same value as women except minus 2. That's the way that kind of we're going to read that. Now, when we have that, then we can go into this and replacing that M right here with the value of W minus 2. By the way, I have an N here because I always do M and N, but it's W because it's women. I apologize about that if I confused you. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and take M and replace it with W minus 2 plus W equals 58. That'll allow us to go ahead and now solve for women. All right. Because it says how many women were there. So we're going to go ahead and solve for W, and we get it. So now there's 2 W's here, and I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get rid of the 2 over here. So if I add 2 here, I add 2 here. That'll eliminate this, and that'll give me 60 because 58 plus 2 is 60. Now I divide both sides by 2, and W equals 30. And that is our answer. All right, that's how that works. So I want to go ahead and show you the answer right here is 30, and that is all we have to do. All right, now let's take a look at question number 2. Amanda rented a bike from Ted's Bikes. It costs $12 for the helmet plus $3.25 per hour. If Amanda paid $29.88, how many hours did she rent the bike? So now we're looking at cost for the helmet was $12. We don't need to represent that with a letter, but we do need to know that H represents the hours of which she rented it. So this is the hours that she rented the bike for. So it's going to be $29.88 for the entire duration of this. Now it says let H equal the number of hours she rented the bike. Write an equation you would use to solve this problem. So if this is the case, then we have H is going to be multiplied against 325 because we have $3.25 per hour plus the $12 to rent or to the cost of the helmet, and then we set it equal to the $29.88, and that's our equation. And so it is 325 times H. And by the way, you can go ahead and just put in 325H. You don't need to go ahead and put in the times. It will understand that that's what you meant. So that's all we have to do. And that would be appropriate. Okay. Now solve it. Now, the way you could do that, you can simply do that on a standard calculator. Okay. Scientific calculator, if you will. You don't need a graphic calculator for this. However, since I've been trying to promote you to use your graphic calculator, let's go ahead and see that. Okay. Now, hopefully that'll come in. All right. Now, if I go ahead and do this, I say, all right, so what is 29? All right, 29.88 minus $12 equals, and then divided by $3.25. And that's our answer. So it's 5.50. And it rounds off to the nearest tenth of an hour. So the tenth of an hour would be here. So it's 5.5. So 5 hours, basically 5.5 hours. So 5.5. All right, and that's going to be the answer. Okay. Now, if you go ahead and submit that, you can see that it's green and it works. Okay. 1 of 1. Now, I'm not going to enter all these answers in like that normally. Okay. But I wanted to share with you how simple things are in word problems, even though some of them may intimidate people. Amelia is asked about her grade. She answers as follows. My age, or about her age, yeah. She answers as follows. My age is 7 more than 3 times the age of my son. How old is her son if Amelia is 49 years old? Okay. So now, we're going to go ahead and ask about her son's age. So my age is 7 more than, so her age is 49. Okay. So we're going to say that it equals 49. Her age does. But it's right here, it says my age is. So we have, that's why we have the 49. But it's 7 more than 3 times the age of her son, which we don't know what her son's age is. So we're going to put 3 times her son's age, and we're going to put A for age, plus 7, because it's 7 more than 3 times the value of that. And so now you can take your calculator and just simply take and do 49 minus, because we want to go ahead and subtract 7. All right, so subtract 7 from both sides. So 49 minus 7. All right, and then hit enter, and then divide it by 3. Because since it's right here, and 3 is multiplying A, so we're going to divide both sides by 3 at that point. So now we get 14. So our son is 14 years old. Not hard, right? This is pretty straightforward. Now, next question. Suppose the average yearly salary of someone whose terminal degree is a master's is $59,000, less than twice that of someone whose terminal degree is a bachelor's. Combined, 2 people with these terminal degrees earn $127,000 on average. Find the average yearly salary of an individual with each of these terminal degrees. Now, it says here, the average yearly salary of a person whose terminal degree is a bachelor's is blank, thousands of dollars. An average yearly person whose terminal degree is a master's is blank thousand. So now, these are already written as far as numbers are concerned within thousands. So we do not need to go ahead and put 1,000. But we need to go ahead and say, okay, well, let's figure this out. Suppose that the average yearly salary of someone whose terminal degree is a master's is $59,000, less than. Okay, so we want to say that M is for the masters. All right. M is the masters. And B is for a bachelor's. All right. Now, it says that terminal degree is, so whose terminal degree is a master's is. So M is equal to, because it says master's is, 59,000 less than twice someone with a terminal degree of a bachelor's. So twice a bachelor's, it's a lot of language there, but it says twice the terminal degree of a bachelor's minus, because it says 59,000 less than. So we're going to say minus 59. So that's how you would indicate the masters. It says combined, two people whose terminal degrees earn 127,000. So the masters as well as the bachelor's earns a total of 127,000. So now that we have this, again, just like we did up here, where we substituted, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to see this, and we're going to substitute that in for the masters, for the M. And then we're going to go ahead and see that we're going to get 2B, because that's part of this, minus 59 plus B equals 127. All right, so now we're no longer have this equation, because it says it wants to know about the bachelor's first. This is good. It's conveniently set up. But then once we're done with this, then once we solve for bachelor's, we can go ahead and plug that back into this and solve the master's. That's how it works. So now let's go ahead and do 2 plus 1 is 3 B's. And then we're going to go ahead and take and add 59 to 127. Now, of course, we can always use a calculator. Say 127 plus 59, and don't even have to think about it. We get 186. Now, we know that once we get that, we're going to divide both sides by 3. So take the 186 and divide it by 3 and get 62. If what I just did to some of you really bothered you because I went a little too fast, then you're not keeping it simple enough. You're really complicating it. Now, all I had to do was add these two together, get that, add to this side, and then divide both sides by 3. Now, that is keeping it simple. Now, what some of you might be frustrated again about is how did I get the M? It's called reading. If you look at it, it says the master's is, and then you have to read 59,000 less than twice the someone whose terminal degree is a bachelor's. So that means exactly what's written here. Twice the bachelor's minus 59 is the master's, and is represented with an equal sign. Once you have that, and it says that the combined is 127, then you're going to go ahead and plug this in for M. And then you have your value. Now that means the bachelor's is 62,000. And you don't have to put the 1,000, you just put in 62 because the bachelor's already there, or the 1,000 already there. So now the answer is 62, as I've indicated. Now, to find out the master's, we can go ahead and do it one of two ways. We could plug it in here, or we can plug it in here. It's one of your choices. Now, you're just using a calculator to do that. So all you got to do, I'm personally going to choose the top one. So all I'm going to do is do 2 times 62. I mean, I know that's 12, 4, so 124. But anyway, 124. And then I'm going to go ahead and minus 59 from it. So minus 59, and I get my answer of 65. So that's going to be 65,000. And of course, I got the right answer. It's right there. Okay, submit my answers. I knew I had it right anyway. Okay. Now, question number 5. Oh, I have Cedric here. Oh, Cedric. I keep on saying that wrong. Cedric.
It's fine.
Yeah, I called you wrong with last semester. Okay.
Yeah.
So So anyway, I'm going over the lesson. So I'm going over 2.2 right now. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm on question number 5 of the homework. All right.
Sounds good.
Now for this one, okay, after 70% reduction, you purchase a new television on sale for $201. What was the original price of the television? Round your solution to the nearest cent. Now, when it says that there's a 70% reduction, that means you only spent 30% for the item. Now, the way this works is that you can do it one of two ways. You can go ahead and multiply 70 times 201 and then minus it. But the easiest way to do it is to simply take 30% of the value of the item, which we don't know what the cost is, and that will equal 201. Now, this is really, really simple then at this point, because all we have to do is then divide by 30%. Now, wait a second. We don't divide by 30%, but technically we then divide by 0.3, all right, to both sides. So we're going to go ahead and divide both sides by 0.3, and we're going to go ahead and get our answer. That is the quickest way to do these things. So take your calculator and do 201 divided by 0.3. And then we're going to get 670, excuse me, and that's our answer that we're looking for. So here's the answer. All right. So this gives you a strategy for approaching this. This is probably the best approach I can actually possibly give you. Now, it says including a 4% sales tax, a hotel charges $183.79 per night. Find the hotel's nightly rate before tax is included. Round the solution to the nearest cent. Now, where this was reduction for question number 5, this is actually a surplus because sales tax adds to the final item. So what you do for that is you take 100% and add 4% to it. So you're going to get 104% of some value, the cost of the room, is going to equal $183.79. So to do this, all we do is divide both sides by 1.04. And that's how we represent percentage as a decimal. So we're going to take the 183.79 and we're going to divide it by 1.04. And then we're going to get the value of $176.72. It wants us to round to the nearest cent, so that's why we get the value here. So 176.72. All right. That I can't tell you and express enough how easy reduction is and surplus. Surplus is, adding to the value and reduction is taking away. So that's how that works. Now, the price of a new refrigerator is $966.51. If the markup is 19% of the wholesale cost, what was the wholesale cost of the refrigerator to the dealer? So this is a markup. Just like sales tax, this is a surplus. It's adding. So all you got to do is take and say 119% of some value equals the $966.51. So all I got to do is divide both sides by 1.19. And that is going to give us our answer. So taking our calculators, we do 966.51 and divide it by 1.19, and it gives us our answer. And we can see that 812.19 is the same answer that we see here, 812.19. Now I'm looking at it from a teacher's perspective, so I could get the answer real quick because and I don't have to enter it, but you would enter it in just as you see it. Make sure you round to the nearest cent. Question number 8. Whitney puts $8 into an investment with an interest rate of 5% per year and Y dollars into an investment with an interest rate of 8% per year. She invests a total of $4,700, and her interest earns in our earnings after 1 year is $298. From this information, we can create two equations, one for the total investment and one for the interest earned. State both equations and then solve the system to determine how much Whitney invested in each. Now, what's really nice about this system is that it breaks it down for you. The equation that describes the total investment is what? So we have X dollars investment at something and then Y dollars invested at something. So the equation would be then X plus Y equals $4,700. And that is it. That's what we're looking for. Okay. X plus Y equals $4,700. Now the equation that describes the interest earned. All right. Now the thing that we're talking about with the interest earned is that it's 5% at some value and okay, so 5% at some value. We're going to say that's X, right? And then Y dollars at 8%. So plus 8% at Y equals the $298 worth of interest. Now, we don't like expressing it in percentages, so we can go ahead and put it as decimals. All right, so we have this. And it would accept even moving the decimal point over 2 units and making this, 2,000, what was that, 2 decimal places, that'd be 29,800. I believe it would even accept that, but here we have the decimal points as I've indicated and written here. Okay, so what I've written here is what's being described as the answer they want for input here. And out of curiosity, because my curiosity is now getting the better of me, I really wonder what they would accept as far as the end goal if I put in what I just told you verbally. Let me see, because I know math pretty well, so you know that. So here we have this. I got to do it now. And let's see, equals, and I want to see if they'll accept this answer. And that would be okay, there, 0, 0. All right, because all I did was move the decimal point over 2 times for every single item. In other words, multiply everything by 100. So I didn't have decimal points for this one. Now, amount invested at 5% interest. Now the thing is, now that we got these 2 equations, right? We have these 2 equations. We can do substitution. But what you want to do is take the X, solve for X in the one. In other words, take 4,700 and minus Y from it, and you're going to get X by itself. And then you can plug that back into the equation right here. And then you're going to get now just Y. All right. And here, so let's go ahead and do that. 5 times 4,700 minus Y. And then I'm going to go ahead and put plus 8Y equals this. All right, so I went ahead and moved the decimals like I did in this right here, this equation. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now I'm going to use some of my calculator because I don't feel like doing all the mental stuff on it. So I'm going to take 5 times 4,700 and then put 23. Okay, so that's all I get that. And I get minus 5Y plus 8Y equals that. And now I'm going to go ahead and see that this is going to be 3Y because 5 minus from 8 is 3. And then I'm going to take this right here, this 29,800 minus the 23,500. And I'm going to get 6,300, divide that by 3, and I'm going to get 2,100. So anyway, I'm going to get Y equals 2,100. I'm just punching this stuff in the calculator as fast as possible, right? Because it's easier to do it that way. Okay. Now, once I have this value, I'm going to go ahead and plug that back into here because I want to solve for what X is. So I'm going to take this 4,700 take the 4,700 and minus the 2,100. And you could probably do that mentally, but anyway, it's 2,600, right? So now I have X at 2,600 and Y at 2,100. So the thing is, I'm looking at for X is associated with the 5%. So that means that X is going to be the 2,600. And so I put in 2,600. And then the Y value is at the 8%, which the 8% is associated with Y again. It's going to be 2,100. All right. And I know that the answers are what they are because I know this how this works. Now, so I'm going to check this answer, and you're going to see that I got the answer correct here. I wanted to verify that with you because the answer that they give isn't the same as what I gave, but my answer is just simply the same representation of that answer because all I did was multiply it by 100, and it didn't change my output or my answer in getting it right. So good stuff. All right. So again, I'm walking you through these 15 questions because I know students do not like word problems. It really bothers them a lot. And I'm hoping by you modeling after my my examples here, as well as making sure you do my PowerPoint. At the end, I would like to remind you that use my PowerPoints to accompany this video, and the PowerPoints are very effective. So now let's continue. The length of a rectangular field is 9 yards longer than triple the width. So when we talk about length and width, right, we know that the perimeter, by the way, is 2L plus 2W equals perimeter. And it says that the length, L, is 9 yards longer than triple the width. So the width, we're going to triple it, and this is going to be 9 yards longer than that even. So now we have L, and we have the understanding of what the perimeter formula is, but it tells us what the perimeter formula or what the perimeter is, and it's saying that the perimeter is worth 626 yards. So we take out P and represent that with 626. And now that we have that, we can go ahead and represent this L right here with all of this. So we have 2 times 3W plus 9. And then we have the 2W, all right, equals a 626. Now, this is just nothing but doing the legwork, and that is multiplying it and then combining like terms and such. And I personally just like to use the calculator, whip it out real fast. I mean, I don't need to go in and prove anything to myself, but that is something of a personal experience that's for yourself. So you can go ahead and just take, like roll it quick, because I'm going to drop it in. Take the 626, and then minus from that 18, and then go ahead and divide it by 8. And I'm going to get 76. Okay, so W equals 76. Now, what I'm doing for you is I'm modeling what I expect of you. I expect you to be able to, get to the answer. Now, if you want to put the answers in and stuff like that, that's not a big deal. I don't care if you drop it in. But I'm looking for the answer, right? So the width right now is 76. So I put in 76 here, all right? And I know I got that one right. Now, the thing is, for the length, I can go ahead and drop this into here. So I can take the 76, the answer, multiply by 3, and then add 9 to it. And I'm going to get the 237. And that'll be the answer we're looking for there. All right, I've gotten both answers. Okay, so that's the perimeter formula that we're dealing with there. Question number 10. The first night in a hotel costs $60. All additional nights cost $52. How many nights did we stay at the hotel if the total bill was $476? So the first night was $60, $52 for the rest of the cost. So $52 a night plus the $60, okay? But the problem is that we have to consider the fact that we have to take and minus 1 from this right here. Now, that's a weird way of writing it because of the fact is that, remember, if I put in 1 night, all right, 1 minus 1 is going to give me 0, and then that's going to cost me $60, isn't it? Okay, the first night. So that's why we have to do this 52 and then n minus 1. And if I don't do that, then I'm going to screw myself up in answering this question because I don't have the right days in there. So here, now we're going to go ahead and calculate this for n. We're going to solve for n. So it's going to be 52n minus, and then we're going to go ahead and get negative 52, and then plus 60, and then I'm just going to take my calculator and do all this, okay? So I take, first of all, you know that this is 8, right? So this is simply 8, positive 8. I'm going to subtract 8 from 476. I'm going to subtract that and then divide it by the 52. Okay, because that's what it costs per. So, whoops, darn it. All right, so I'm sorry about that. All right, that's minus 8 divided by 52. All right, that's 9. I get 9. All right, that's my answer. 9/9. So that one was a pretty important one, the way I minused the 1 from it. I think a lot of students wouldn't do that. And that's a very effective strategy that I wanted to share with you. Okay. Now, the next couple questions here are going to be dealing with what we call literal equations, where you use variables as representations of values and you solve for one of the variables when you have multiple variables. And so it's all about reversing the orders of which you go ahead and process these things. So what I mean by that is, let me write this down and show you. So what we're trying to do is solve for the big E. So we're going for the big E. Now the big E is right here. So first of all, it's being divided. So what's the opposite of division is multiplication. So what we're going to do is multiply both sides by the R plus the NR. So I'm going to go ahead and get I, and then big R, little NR. Okay. Now I have this, right? Now the big E is what we're solving for. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So my answer is all of this divided by that, right? That's it. Now the version and the way that they give you the answers might vary, but here, this does not look exactly what I have, because I didn't distribute out the I to, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was falling off the page. I did not distribute the I to these parts, but the answer that we're looking for will be okay if we put it in this way. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to prove it to you. So let me go ahead and do it that way. So big I, it is case sensitive. Just be careful with the case sensitive stuff. So we have big R, and then it's plus little n, little r, and then close that parenthesis, and then divide it all by n. And you're going to see that they'll accept that answer. See, it's 1 for 1. So that means they accept the answer. So there's multiple ways of putting it in. Just make sure that you follow the process properly. Opposite operations. So let's take a look at number 12. Now we're solving for little r. We have an E, a big E, divided by a little e equals a big R plus a little r, all divided by little r. And we're solving for little r. Now the thing is that we don't like this r being next to this. And matter of fact, or being divided. So what we're going to do, in order to clear out some of this, okay, we're going to go ahead and multiply both sides by the little r, okay? By multiplying by little r, that gets at least the r out of the denominator. We don't like that, okay? Now what we have here is a situation, we do have a little bit of a situation, where we have this now, okay? Now we have this where it's getting a little bit complicated because we have an r that's being multiplied by something and being divided at the same time. So what we're going to do, and this is the way I'm going to process it, is that I'm going to multiply both sides by little e. And I'm going to, because I don't like that we have this right here, this r, big E being divided by e. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. So now we're going to go ahead and do the distributive property on the other side here. We're going to do the distributive property. And I'll tell you why once I'm done doing it. All right, so I'm doing the distributive property. Okay, now I have this. And the reason why I did the distributive property is because I saw this little r and this e together. I'm going to get this together with the other little r, and I need that. So I'm going to bring this over the other side so I can get the little r's together so I can do some factoring. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to have this. All right, that's a little different. Okay, now I can factor out the r, and I'm going to have to do that up here. I'm falling off my page, people. So let me go ahead and factor out r, little r that is. And now I have this. And now, because I factored out the little r, I can go ahead and divide both sides by big E, little e. Now that makes that go away and leaves me with r equals this. Now this is my answer. Okay, that's how I'm going to enter it in. Now that one was hard. That one, I agree with you if you're frustrated with that, but it's because there's so many pieces moving all over the place, and I had to do some manipulation there. I gave it to you as simple as I possibly could imagine. I can't imagine doing it any other way, but I wonder, yeah, they did it with the, I like that I wrote it differently from them. You know, where they put the little e first and then the big R. All right, well, anyway, the answer is what it is. I mean, but so I did some serious manipulation there. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get to a fresh page and let's continue this. All right, I hope you're learning a lot. I hope you're getting some great strategies. So here we are taking A and 1/4 of GM, and we're solving for G. Now this one, in my opinion, is a joke after what we just did on the other one. The other one was way more complicated. Because for G, all we got to do is multiply both sides by 4 and divide both sides by m, and we're done with this. This is not a problem. So here is what we end up with. Here's my answer. That is a complete joke compared to what we just did. All right. Now, I want you to recognize that when you multiply 4 times a over m, you're going to get the same thing as what I've written. I personally think that what I wrote was a lot easier interpretation, but I don't like putting the 4 in front. That's weird. So I'm going to show you that it makes no difference in getting your answer right. All right, here we have it, and we're going to get the right answer. All right. Now I'm moving along with these pretty quickly. Okay. Oh, I like number 15 too. I'd like to show you that one. Okay. This one, we're going to solve for little l. And this one's going to move very quick again. All we got to do is move this over. It becomes its opposite. And we got to divide both sides by 2. The answer is there. This is gone. This is the answer. I love how fast these move. This is a joke compared to that one again. I hope that you're gaining confidence in this. This is pretty easy. All right, so we have that, and we have 2, and we got the answer. Okay, now this, the sum of 3 consecutive natural numbers is 531. Find the numbers. So the sum of 3 consecutive natural numbers. So we're talking about like the way we count, right? So not zeros and stuff. So natural numbers. The way it works is 3 consecutive. So it's going to be x plus 1, because that's the next consecutive number after we find our first number. And then it's the same number plus 2, because that'll be the next number after the sequence. So whenever we're talking about consecutive integers, we are looking at this. Now, if it said 3 consecutive odd integers, then the formula would be the same thing, except for that you would go ahead and do this. And by the way, I said odd on purpose, and I'm writing even numbers on purpose so I can show you that it doesn't matter. Because what you're doing, even if you had odd or even, you would still have 2 plus 4. And you'll find this in my PowerPoint when you look at that. So here, the reason why is because if you give it a number, let's say it's 3. 3, and I'm saying it's the next odd integer. Well, 3 plus 2 is going to give me 5. So that's going to be the next consecutive odd integer. Let's give it 4. If I did 4 and we're talking about consecutive integers, then it's going to be 4, and the next consecutive even integer that is would be then 4 plus 2, and that's 6, and that is in fact the next consecutive even integer. So this is for even or odd right here. This is for even or odd. When they ask you in consecutive number systems, this is for just consecutive. I'm just going to put consec. Okay, this is consecutive, even or odd. So now this is critical right here, this little formula right that I'm giving you here, because now all I got to remember, if I will, is to put 3x, because there are 3 x's, 1, 2, 3 x's, plus 3, because 1 plus 2 is equal to whatever number they give me. And then now I can go ahead and solve this just like I do any other equation. I grab my calculator because I don't feel like doing anything by hand. And I just don't want to do it. I'm just going to take 531 and minus 3 equal divided by 3, and I get my answer of 176. Now 176 is the very first consecutive integer. Well, the next one would be 177, and the next one would be 178. Because if you think about it, x plus 1, x plus 2. I mean, so it's that easy. So there's our answers: 176, 177, and 178. And that's how you handle consecutive integers. And that concludes the lesson for 2.2, going over word problems and applications.